Minister of Justice, Senator Mark Golding, is our guest. Minister, the decriminalization of ganja, was this just a political move to gain popularity with certain segments of the population, or is it a well-needed piece of legislation?
I think it's a well-needed piece of legislation because of the fact that Jamaica has, from a long time, been a place where ganja is cultivated, and its use is medicinally part of our folk culture, and recreationally is part of popular culture. And the effect of that...
Have we seen the effects on people of this recreational use?
I think so. I think that, there's positive and negative in it. But I don't think criminalizing it had any positive impact whatsoever in terms of user patterns. And we're not seeing any increased usage since we decriminalized it, anecdotally. But what it did do was it meant that a lot of young men, first of all, it was a major source of friction between the police and young men in communities, which didn't help community policing and was in fact undermining the relationship, which is so critical to fighting crime, of having a positive relationship there.
So it had some unintended consequences.
Definitely. And then on individuals, they ended up with criminal records, which stymied their prospects of employment and travel, which was really a human rights issue, in my opinion. So we have decriminalized, as you know, personal use of small quantities, so it's no longer going into the court system as a prosecutable and arrestable offense. That's nearly 15,000 cases a year that are going to come out of the court system, which, as you know, has benefits, problems with burdens, yes, and so on. So it's important from that point of view. And from the point of view of those individuals, they will no longer get a criminal record if they get ticketed for use. But even past offences that they had committed involving small quantities for personal use will be automatically expunged. All they have to do is apply for a criminal record, and it will be issued to them without that on it any longer. And thousands of people are benefiting from that. So, and then there's the Rastafari community, and their special relationship with ganja, seeing it as their sacrament. And so constitutionally, with the Charter of Rights and the recognition of freedom of religion and freedom of religious expression, we didn't think it was consistent with that to have an absolute prohibition on ganja. So there's special provisions in the law that recognize the relationship between Rastafari, and for the first time, Rastafari being recognized in any public statute in Jamaica. So that piece of legislation has been actually significant, I think, in terms of Jamaica's cultural development and progress, and has been recognized internationally. And I was actually given an award in Washington, D.C. for the role I played in that, which by the Drug Policy Alliance, which is one of the leading NGOs that look at drug policy issues. So I'm just saying it's kind of put Jamaica on the map as a pioneer in this area. Yeah.
Minister, you deal with a number of pieces of legislation outside of justice issues. A lot of critical economic reform legislative measures have come through you.
Yes, well, I'm in charge of the government's legislative program, so I'm kind of responsible, and I play a supportive role for all legislation that is urgent in particular to make sure it gets done on a timely basis. As you know, under the IMF program, there were many deliverables, what we call structural benchmarks of legislation that had to be passed by specific dates in order to pass the test. So all of the tax reform that we've done with the new omnibus fiscal incentives to make one system of incentives for tax that any business person can qualify for, the Asikuda system at the ports for customs, and the reform of GCT laws and so on, all of that, we've had to play a role in getting that through on a timely basis. Similarly, the security interest in personal property law to provide for a web-based system of recording collateral and facilitate the flow of credit. That the insolvency law that would essentially had to replace the old laws with a modern system for dealing with firms that have financial difficulties. The banking services law to provide for proper, what we call supervision at the group level. All of those things, the Ministry of Justice, and I chair legislation committee, which has a kind of quality control role to play. So, I mean, I've been, very busy for the last couple of years making sure that all of those things were delivered on time. And that, I think, has had a significant played a significant part in us remaining in good standing with the IMF and passing the tests. So,
thank you very much, Minister of Justice, Senator Mark Golding, talking about achievements under his ministry. Next week I'll be back. Until then, Ian Bourne wishing you a pleasant day.